Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back with another Pitcast. Today we're going to be diving back into the Hebrew alphabet with Jason from Green Country Agroforestry. Before we begin, however, if you are unfamiliar with me, I will have several playlists linked in the description after the live show wraps up so that you can get a better understanding of who I am and why I say the things that I do. I do have some unconventional beliefs. I do have a tendency to step on toes. I do not apologize for it. It is not intentional. We are here to discern the truth from what is not. We are here to explore the esoteric in a real time setting so that we can get a better understanding through interacting with other people about the concepts behind these things. We're investigating the Hebrew alphabet so that we can get a better understanding for further explorations as we go along. And Jason has really got a unique point of view about how to view the alphabet and how to learn it. And as bad as I am with learning the alphabet, I am picking up small pieces already. So you are more than welcome to tag along as we continue our exploration of the Hebrew alphabet with Jason from Green Country Agroforestry. Hey, Jason, thanks
Howdy,
for
howdy.
welcome back.
Good to be back. Good to be back. This is third week doing this. I'd like to say it's going to get easier. You saw the words I sent you, right?
Yeah.
It don't get better.
Hey, learning takes effort. You have to put in the effort if you expect to get the results. There is no manifestation without the proper effort being expended. So we can get into it and we can learn, or we can sit on our ass and it will never happen.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we're in. Oh yeah. I got this picture right there at the end of January, off of Space Weather, and I just looked at that and said, "Wow, doesn't that just look like a guy on one of those Byzantine era vases with his round shield there on his arm and his sword in his hand,
right here.
just charging across the battlefield." Yep.
Yeah. Like I can see a leg right here.
Yeah.
The leg extended back this way. Maybe a girdle.
Yeah. I saw that and coming up on the sun, and I went, "Wow, that's." I know we're not supposed to be looking for signs or anything, but if I was looking for a sign, that fellow looks ominous. He's going to come charging across the landscape this year. We're going to have to look out. And what looks like letters there, guys, I don't know what to tell you. That's just whenever we adjusted contrast to make the coronal hole appear, it made what looks like letters, but I can't tell what it's spelling. It's just, you look in the clouds, you see shapes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's one of the problems with prophecy, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
why you're not supposed to read too hard for it. But if it pops out and it's apparent, then maybe it is something.
Yeah, but that's just a really cool looking image that we got from looking at a coronal hole come the end of January this year. It's nothing else.
You can definitely see
Try not to read anything else into it, but dang, doesn't it look cool? All right. Now, usually, if you're going on YouTube and you're watching this, you're going to be watching a rabbi giving an alphabet lesson, and he's going to be Jewish. I'm not Jewish. I come from a family that is Hebrew, but we're Hebrew before the distinction of being Jewish developed. I think some members are also Jewish, but that's neither here nor there. The mountain that we came from, in other words, was inhabited once upon a time before there was an Abraham.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, presumably, my ancestor back in the day teamed up with Shem, and they had a school to teach people the law and the alphabet and how to know this from that and all that good stuff. And we're on, I guess, day 3 of instruction. And on day 3 of instruction, we're going to come back. For day 1, we talked about Father, Son, Stone, which is the foundation. Get into that. I mean, you've heard Jesus. Well, go back to day 1 and you'll understand what he was talking about when he used those words. Day 2, we covered mother and daughter because we talked about father and son. It wouldn't be right to not carry on with mother and daughter, who are also important to the continuity here that we're trying to establish of a good, stable line of human beings who grow up knowing how to act appropriately and not run around reckless, heedless, and cut off from all knowledge. Part of the continuity process is this character here, which we didn't talk about in the first 2 days, but we'll catch up to now. This is called Gimel, and it's the third character in the alphabet. It does look an awful lot like the Elder Futhark rune for Gibo, or as you saw it in Old English, Gifu. It looks actually almost identical to Gifu in Old English. There are connections,
Right.
like really, really old connections that go even back before Rome. Old connections that are so old that we forgot. But for some reason, the idea of this sound being associated with gifts and giving, which is the meaning of Gimel, carried over. So I don't know. We have it. It's here. It got here somehow. The shape of Gimel, even in the basic typeset, does kind of look like the shape for Nun, but he has, instead of a stable base at the bottom where he's sitting there with his tablet in his lap, his tablet's not on his lap, and he's got a little gap there.
Right.
So Gimel kind of shows us that Nun, our student who's supposed to be learning how to grow up and behave properly, needs assistance in the process. So it means the process of nourishing to completion. So weaning is also one of the meanings. The ability to carry burdens is embodied in Gimel, which is the reason why Kamel is the word for the creature that carries heavy burdens. It's camel is the word for camel.
Camel and Gimel do strike a similar sound.
The one who carries the burden is the camel, the Gimel.
Makes sense.
The givers, us. Yes, Gimel. All right, moving on to the next one. Dalet. Dalet's number 4. We'll go through these really quick. Dalet's number 4. Dalet means door. So there you go. Dalet, Dalet, D number 4. Dalet, Dalet also means door. I don't know why I made up that rhyme. I never heard it before. Okay. It works. So meanings: door, to lift up, is the other meaning. And of course, Dalet is the actual gift that Gimel is giving to the student, lifting him up and providing him with that doorway of opportunity to learn and grow. There is another thing that's built into this, but we'll have to cover Resh before we get to that, because part of the construction of the Dalet character includes Resh and Yod. But we haven't covered Yod and we haven't covered Resh, but we'll maybe come back to it whenever we do. So that'll be like we'll come back and look at. Next one up is Zayin. Zayin, lovely, lovely character. I'm gonna go to my notes real quick here. Of course, it makes the Z sound. It stands for crown. It stands for a weapon or a sword. I mean, quite literally, the word that gives you to cut comes from Zayin. So it's more along the line of the act of cutting than the weapon itself, if that makes any sense. And of course, it does mean to sustain as well. So there's a couple little meanings in Zayin. We need Zayin to make another word here in a minute. But before we do that, we need to learn about Yud. Let me get back over here to the screen so it's in there. Yud or Yod or Yid even. Once again, welcome to the Hebrew language where in the old days they didn't have pronunciation marks and you had to figure out what everything was based upon what it was next to. So this character that's in your basic typeset, it's like a short version of the Vav, only it doesn't necessarily have the little thing on the top. Usually whenever this is drawn in calligraphy, it's got a little swoosh that connects it to whatever else is being written, because it is sort of being the thing that connects to Yud or Yud. Means this, means that. It means the hand, sometimes specifically of God. It represents continuity. and occasionally it means a person, specifically a yid.
Yud.
Hmm.
I'm talking to Yud.
A yid. A yid is a person, and whenever they mean a Yiddish person, that person who is Jewish.
Right.
They don't mean another kind of person.
Well,
They mean just them.
everybody else wasn't really people. So.
Well, of course, yeah. I know. It's easy to rag, but you go around the world and you'll find cultures all over the world that their name for their particular tribe is the real people, and everybody else are just people. So I mean, we know it's not unique. Yeah, it's not exclusive.
Yeah, it's definitely not unique. It still exists today too.
It's like, people do it. All right. So whenever you're reading in Torah and you see two yids next to each other, not one on top of the other, but next to each other, like side by side, they are supposed to interpret that as being God is between them. So some people will say whenever you're reading, whenever you see that together, you just say God.
Between the this and that.
Because the idea is whenever any two of you are gathered here in my name, I am there with you. You see, that was the idea.
Right.
Between two yids, there's the that didn't actually come from Hebrew. It was borrowed. But anyway.
And it would be the space
between we'll get to that later, because I think we actually do have all the letters necessary to look into that name that isn't a name. All right. Yud or Yod. Almost always you see this in connection with other stuff, like the next letter up, I think, has it. Yep, there we go. Hey. Hey!
Hey!
Hey! There we go. Hey! Hey means here is, or behold. And it's also the reason why you had in the vision line, there's something here, there's something there. Here is something here. It's the Dalet and a Yod. And it makes the sound big, sound, not the more of an open because you're not closing that door all the way. If you're looking at the shape of the character from the side, the shape of the character is supposed to be a Dalet with the Yod there. Not that you can tell in typeset, because in typeset it looks almost exactly like a character that looks like this.
Yeah, it looks like a resh.
It looks like a resh, right? Resh. We're going to be threshing.
And I'm saying that because I'm looking at it right here on this.
No connection at all. No.
I have a cheat sheet.
Yeah. Anyway, so that makes a huh sound. It means there is or behold. It can also mean to be disturbed. This entire process is disturbing. Let's move on to het. Het is a CH, but it's a CH that's swallowed in the back of your throat, and I pronounce it like a Yankee. You probably, if you were back in the old days, you'd pronounce it all the way back down here in the back of your throat, and it wouldn't be a like that. It would be just like barely letting the lining of your glottal stop touch. So it's just a barely almost a huh, but just there's barely something there. Barely something.
Okay, I got you.
Het. So we have a hey and a het, and the hey, if you see it by itself, might be pronounced ha, and ha by itself would be the. If you just see the ha by itself, it's the. All right, where are we at? Although chances are you'll see it spelled out. Though, without pronunciation marks, you can just pronounce it any way you want to, which we'll get to in a minute. This is Resh. Oh, Resh. I have found out so much about Resh over the years. Being Resh, you learn an awful lot about Resh. And, of course, Resh is who I was. Resh is Nun. If you were looking at the characters in the alphabet as being kind of like, characters in a story, and the alphabet tells a story. Nun is the prince, the little baby that's born, the child that sits and learns, and the one who goes out into the world and rules. That's Nun. But Nun is not always the child that sits there and learns and study and goes out and rules appropriately. Sometimes Nun abandons his base and goes out the door and goes headlong into life, heedless to what he's doing, acting rashly. No connection. And that's how he goes. And he's got his head down, but he's not got his head down in study. He has it kind of up a little bit. It's got to be down so he can see where he's going, because if he doesn't watch where he's going, he's going to fall into a pit. Because, he wasn't studying, so he doesn't know where the pits are.
Right.
Right.
And
there'll be more to Resh later. But real quick, if you wanted to go back to Dalet, you'll notice that Dalet's got this thing where it looks like it could have been a Resh, but something happened to it. And what happened to it is the hand, in this case, the hand of providence, came up behind it. And the hand of providence can also sometimes be the hand of a brother, a fellow citizen, another yud, another person. Let's make this more inclusive. Any person can lend a hand. You don't have to be a yid, okay? Come on. Anybody can lend a hand to another fellow human being who requires it. And that way, the Resh is not wretched Resh.
Right.
No connection.
I'll straighten out though.
But now he's just merely poor instead of wretched. Poor is another term for dalat or talet. The T and the D. Incidentally, whenever you have that in Tav, the dalet has the tongue there, right there at the back of the. My mother was a speech pathologist, incidentally. This is one of the reasons why apparently I was born there. So you're trying to make this sound, and the D and the T wind up having a similar birth, which is the reason why, I suppose, when you look at Tav, it's a Nun with a Dalet behind it, to tell you that this Nun has a little bit different pronunciation, I suppose.
Right.
But it's still supposed to be the child, and she's still supposed to be studying. Hey, guess what? Girls are supposed to be learning the law too, guys. You got something mixed up along the way. It was there in the beginning. It was written into the language. Why aren't you paying attention to the Sod here? All right. Sod is examining the meaning of the letters that form the words. Incidentally, you can use this as an acid test if you're ever wondering if the word was an original word or not, if it was something that added in, was a loaner word. Because, okay, English has got a lot of loaner words. This is the reason why the English spelling of words is so weird. Weird? Yeah. Why do we spell it weird?
Why are there silent letters at all?
Why is it C-O-U-H cough, T-H-O-U-R-U-G-H through, and then through T-H-R-E-W. I mean, Gallagher's got an entire routine. It's hilarious. Go watch it sometime. But the reason we have such bizarre spellings for words in English is because we have so many loaner words. They came from somewhere else. They were spelled in a different way somewhere else, but that doesn't work with the way we pronounce words. So we take the word and we go, well, we don't want to change it too much because we want to be able to recognize what it is. So we just sort of adapt the way we say it. And that happens in every language. It happens in Hebrew. And whenever you find a word that's supposed to be in Hebrew, but you can't find the meaning in the letters, or the meaning in the letters doesn't exactly add up, that can let you know something. It isn't an original word. The word we're going to get to later, it's not an original word. It's an old word, but not an original. You can kind of tell because now you know how to look for the brushstrokes and look for the fingerprint to see where the language was constructed. And you can tell when something happened, not exactly in date, but you can, in etymology, you can tell. All right, so yeah, enough of Dalet. Back to Resh real quick. So you can see if Resh has some assistance, a little hand on the back of his head there to help, keep him on the straight and narrow. He's not completely wretched. All right, but the nature of Resh is to rush in headlong and heedless. Next one is, and you're probably not going to get that from. Okay, next one is an actual word. Yay, we got through the alphabet in record time. No, that's not the entire alphabet, but that's the characters that we're going to use for all the words that we get to today. And I've got one that I added to the syllabus, but I didn't send to you. But that's okay. We may not use it. It all depends. All right, so we've got a word up on. We always next week. We got a word up on the screen, and it's pronounced bear, or it can be pronounced bor, or it can be pronounced bar. And I suppose we should talk about where we get pronunciations for things. Your Aleph usually always has an ah or an a sound. And if it had, some significance in the middle of a word, usually we would think of the a, ah as being more masculine, right?
Okay.
However, there are some words where it isn't, and you have an eh sound instead, like in El. El is the Lord who is God. One might think that's supposed to be masculine, but it's pronounced El. Okay. There's something freaky when we get to. I'll get to that later. It the Lord who is God is not gendered. The concept of as above so below doesn't necessarily extend beyond the physical manifestation. The Lord who is God exists beyond the physical manifestation. Some of these rules don't apply.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So
and presume you know as well.
Right. Different pronunciations depending upon what the tense is, what the word is, and what it's supposed to mean. But they're all related oddly enough. And some of it, some of it's English too. All right. Starting off from the beginning. Bear. Bear is a well with water in it. Pretty strong, common, and straightforward. If you're going to go look for a woman, you go look by the well. You'll find the woman by the well. That's typically where you find her. She's drawing water from the well, probably to make bread. Bear. All right. Boar. Because, without the pronunciation marks, you're free to choose how you want to pronounce the Aleph. And, yep, you can pronounce it boar too. Boar means a pit or a hole. A borehole. Oddly enough. English.
Interesting.
We're Englishing here. Bear.
Right.
Oh, and if you live in Wisconsin, do the weird way that they pronounce things, and it's time to knock off. You might ask your buddies if you want to go to Bear, because Bear is the bar. If you're a Uber, apparently, yeah. And you're going to go to the bar and you're going to drink well drinks at the bar, the beer, the bar.
The bar.
That last word there, bar, is Aramaic and it means sun. Remember earlier we had Ben meaning sun for day one. Right. Ben is sun. Well, Ben is sun in Hebrew. Aramaic is similar, not the same. So now we have further problems because we have our Peshitta text and a lot of like even the 2nd century BC is Aramaic. Not a lot of it's Hebrew, and then it was Greek, and then still not a lot of it's Hebrew. And then Jesus comes along and goes, guys, they corrupted the scriptures. They're doing crazy stuff. Oh, I need to tell you about the Wailing Wall. We'll get to that in a minute. It's not the temple. The temple's gone. It's completely gone. It's gone. It's gone. The wall is not any part of the temple. The Herodians built that. It's a retaining wall. It's not part of the temple. They expanded the grounds around the temple because they wanted to do the version that they had in Septuagint instead of the original. In the original, the priest is only supposed to eat goat like one day of the week. He and his family have goat one day of the week that the people get brought to him. The rest of the time, he's got to work for a living. But they established this franchise under Herod, who is an Edomite and follower of Yahweh. So they have this thing where they bring in all these sacrifices and they collect money at the temple, and it's a whole big business. He's taking his cut, the priests are taking their cut, the Romans are getting their cut, the people are getting fleeced, and blood is flowing out of the temple like at an alarming rate.
Yeah.
It's a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
It isn't a holy place. It's a slaughterhouse. So Jesus arrives, he goes, this is wrong. And he throws the tables over. And people are thinking, well, he just had a problem with the money changers. Oh, no. He had a problem with the entire thing because he had read the scripture. He had looked at the words and the way the words were constructed. He realized that the God being worshipped was not the God of Israel. Well, maybe it's the God of Israel, but it wasn't the God of Judah.
Right. The God of Noah. Like the God of Noah was a good.
Right. Because at the very beginning, you found out who God was, and it's built into the alphabet.
Yeah.
With meaning, with real contextual meaning that you can understand. So, anyway, bar is Aramaic for son. Apparently, our sons stopped being nun and knowing how to rule themselves appropriately, being firmly rooted in truth, having been raised with a sound foundation in homes with the Father, and they became rash.
Interesting.
And of course, the bar is the place where our sons go to drink well drinks and become rash. So there we go. After leaving a bar, one might fall into a pit. Bore.
You might even have a beer or two.
Yep. Crazy how this works. I'm thinking really that if somebody had been studying this intently, not like we're doing and just brushing through it, but like intently, like really, they're living and breathing and focusing on this, right? And they live in a time and place where a lot of the languages being spoken around them were still fairly close to mother tongue, from whatever their mother tongue was.
Right, whatever.
And this one having a lot of roots to the mother tongues. If they decided they were going to start talking amongst each other about concepts with this constructed assembly language, is there a possibility that the people who are listening to them at first go, are these guys drunk? Oh, wait a minute. I actually understand what they're saying. Is that a possibility? Would it still work, I wonder?
Seems like it.
Would it still work? But I think this explains a little bit better, other than hamina babidi babili, how the Pentecostal miracle of tongues worked. All right. Next word up. It's going to use the het. Remember the het? Which makes a CH sound, but it's not the CH that we go ch with. But I mean, really, if you wanted to alter pronunciation based upon the country that you live in and the modifications that were made as people migrated around the world and spread language and ideas and meaning and everything else, the CH could become a ch, and it might even at some point become a sh. It might at some point. And whenever it does, you'll recognize it because you'll know the word by its meaning. You'll know the word. All right, so we have haref. The bet at the end has a V sound here, but once again, the V is being made with the teeth right here on the lip. Remember, we crossed over the Alps into Germany with Aver. Aver settled in the Alps.
Right.
Well, let's drop the hint. Aver settled the Alps. When he went beyond, he settled the Alps. And over here on the other side, because the people in the Alps didn't pick up the BV from the Philistines, the B sound from Bet remained a B. However, it is formed right here, and so it became foul. And an F sound. So if you were going over the Alps, your haref would become a haref, which is important because your CH is going to change sound too whenever you go Anglo-Saxon. And you'll recognize the word because the word we're forming here is the het, which is the life, the resh, which is heedless, and the house. So we have the house heedless of life. Does that make any sense? The house heedless of life.
House heedless of life.
The house is the object. The modifier is heedless of life.
Right.
What is the house? What is the embodiment of what is heedless of life? Huh?
Criminals. Like sheriff said.
You have a sword.
Well, that would definitely be heedless of life.
Now, if you pronounce, have you figured it out yet? What's on the ark?
No.
The covenantal ark on the lid, crossing its wings.
Swords.
Cherubim.
That's gonna be a hard sell for me. Like that's gonna we would have to have some serious discussion.
Go look at it. Go look.
I will.
Go look. Now this is the fun part. This is the fun part because what's a sheriff?
A lawbringer.
A sheriff is supposed to be the sword of the people.
Yeah.
He
The
was
one who
supposed to
brings
be
the
the
sword
sword
of
of the
truth,
people to uphold the common
discernment.
law. That's what the sheriff is supposed to be. But now we have sheriff,
Right.
we have a sheriff, we have a sword. The cherubim, which decorate the Ark of the Covenant. That's how it's spelled. That's what the word is. That's what the meaning behind
I'm
the
not
word.
emotionally.
So we're thinking chubby,
like
pretty
me.
angel. The word,
like,
the essence of the
never was
word
a
is
pretty
it's a
angel.
sword.
And like the important part was the void in between, because it was a
Right.
conduction device, and
Well,
there was a static
in the physical thing that it was, right?
Right.
In the physical thing that it
Right,
was,
like-
you've got this capacitor that's building up a charge for a reason.
Yeah, a capacitor
they
and
had
a
a
battery.
thing that they used it for.
It would definitely serve the purpose, and like it doesn't matter what the shape is on top. The important part was the hollow in the middle.
Right.
Was
But the
so
word that they chose to the word they
Right.
chose to use to describe this. Yeah. So, well, see, now you're passing with a K. We haven't covered the cuff yet, which gives you the actual K sound for but see the way it's pronounced was with a because we switched to Aramaic there. It's no longer a harif. It's now a harif. Ugly Aramaic.
Like I said, I'm not emotionally attached to it, so like to me, it's describing the right way to do the wrong thing. So.
Bad Persians bringing in the nasty language was a lot prettier back in the day. But the reason why they translated with a CH whenever they went to English was because it was het. They saw het and went, okay, it's supposed to be a CH. Da, 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 da. Oops. But yeah, this nowadays it's pronounced karef. And there are different kinds of karef. We have this one that I showed you. This is a karef that pierces. Whenever you're conducting a salute, you go from ready, and then as you make your salute, you bring down and rotate and cut away, and then back to your ready position. There's an entire sword protocol. There's different ways swords are used. They have different purposes. I was review commander review commander alternate for the 900 company that I processed through in boot camp. So I got unusually exposed to learning how to do a sword salute. How fun. And also picked up a couple things about swords. So you have the swords that cut, you have the swords that pierce. In the occult ideas, they talk about swords, and they usually talk about maybe two. There are a lot of things that access the throat gate.
Right.
The home of the sword that cuts is your mouth. Your mouth is tied to the throat. So here's where the sword that cuts is wielded from.
Right.
Right. Failing in humility cuts one off from knowledge. Where did I put that thing? Oh, this is more of a cutting implement.
Right.
So you can cut yourself off from knowledge with the cutting implement, and you can accomplish this with your tongue. Incidentally,
that is true.
Internal work when breathing, practice the internal yoga, using the tongue as a sword, as an instrument for the direction of energy, is useful, and we'll do that stuff later, not right now. Don't want people actually drawing from source yet. We got a couple more things to cover.
Right.
But we get to that, you will be full of energy, and you will be making things happen. In yourself, if nothing else. And in yourself will affect the world around you too in time. So let's see. Then we have the other sword, the sword that pierces. And the sword that pierces is wielded from down here at the solar plexus.
Okay.
Here's
that
the piercing
absolutely
sword.
makes sense. Because the amplification devices is the throat and the solar plexus.
Right.
So that absolutely makes sense.
So your piercing sword, if you were thinking of it this way, if you are using the sword appropriately and you're the master of it, you have it here. and it's at your own throat, because this allows you to open and close the gate of truth. It allows you to open and close the gate of humility with truth. And you have both, humility and truth. That lets you make a bridge across the heart chakra so you can digest whatever thing it is that you're getting, experience, information, emotion, energetic attack, whatever it is, and separate what needs to be separated so it doesn't become a part of your foundation and you don't take it as true knowledge. So purpose of source.
Like that absolutely works for me. Like that whole process is quite familiar.
All right. So I mean, Crowley he had some of the words.
Right, but he had no context.
But fellow was cooking his brain and doing all kinds of harm to himself.
It was so bad. It was so very, very bad.
Before we go, I don't have the word for you, but I do have the concept of a chain. If you'll humor me for a moment. This is something I learned while we were on our way back from deployment during the Gulf War, and I had a need to contain a spirit. And one of the guys on board the ship, who was a Wiccan, and they were not necessarily happy with me, incidentally, the pagans that were on board, because they were aware that I'd done something, and they were aware that what I'd done was not the kind of dabbling they did. They're like, oh, crud, we saw the real thing. What the heck did you do? And who are you? You're not a pagan. Go figure. Yeah, real wizard. Hi. So I had to learn how to make essentially a chain, and you do it by tying. You don't do it by going and buying a piece of chain and imbuing it this way. If you really wanted to do this, you do it by tying knots. It's a sailor's trick. You start out by making a loop here, and then as you're focusing on whatever thing it is that you want to work on, and this could be almost anything that you want to bind. A thought, an idea, a process, something. You just reach in through the loop and grab your string and pull. And then you do it again. And while you're doing it, you focus on the thing that you are wanting to do. You could be talking about the thing, vocalizing to focus. You know, that helps. You know, you could be singing a chant, making a story. If you're singing a chant and making a story using the assembly language, you're probably going to get a better result. But you keep on going until you have whatever it is bound up in this effigy, right? And then you can do a whole bunch of different things with it. You can make it into a bracelet you can wear around your wrist to remind you of the thing that you want to remind yourself of, right? Maybe you have a problem and you're talking about and defining exactly what the problem is and exactly what the steps are you intend to take, because you don't want to define the problem without trying to work on what your solution is.
Right.
Charm, right? You don't want to just say, this is my problem and we're your problem.
Yeah, here's my
problem. Here's what I'm going to do to affect it. And then you bind this, you make a reminder, you tie it around yourself and go, this is going to, until you don't need it anymore, or until you decide that you're going to just dissolve it, burn it, throw it away. It served its purpose. It was there to help you focus.
Right. Yeah,
but the actual making of a chain, the actual winding of a thread and making a thread. I mean, if you're going to make thread yourself from scratch, that's powerful too. Yeah. Because you're taking taking the different strands, harmonics, vibrations, binding an intent. Strands and threads is a way that you can think of light as well.
Yeah, see, I do it all internally. Yeah. Like even the releasings and the dismissals and the bindings. Yeah.
Not something you have to do. This is not something you have. You do not have to do this physically.
There's a conception behind it.
Right.
The intentionality is what makes the spell work.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that's kind of an example of what it would look like. You're going to sit there and you're going to focus on the thing that you need to focus on.
That's a positive use for that. What we saw in Crowley was not. Like that was a self-binding of.
Now the thing that I did when we crossed the Marianas Trench was done internally, without physical strength. But I was also actually learning how to make knots and do some other stuff too at the same time. So it was kind of related a little bit.
Right.
Like I needed to know that for some reason. Useful skill. What's our next word?
Let's see. We have Gan.
Gone.
Gone.
Coming to the gone. So we have a gimel and a nun here. We already know from previously the sod on nun is nun is the child that whenever he's in his father's house, he learns how to rule correctly. But whenever he leaves and steps outside the door, having been in connection with his father, he can now act correctly. And as you see, his base, his foundation goes below the riding line, down into the underworld, even
Right.
where he is firmly rooted both in the physical and above. He goes all the way to the heavens here, but he has a gimel next to him. So here we have the rooted nun, adult, standing upright, receiving the gift and support. In the act of receiving the gift and support, the giver and the gift, or the giver and the nun who is learning together. There we go. And that is the word for garden. The gan. You know, come to the gan. Almost sounds like you're in Wisconsin again.
Or New Jersey.
There's our word
Boston.
for garden. And the garden is where the child's self receives the nourishment. The gifts from the gimel.
Right.
There you go.
The child receiving the gift.
The gift from the gimel. On to the next one. Lachem. Lachem is great. Not Lachaim, but Lachem.
Let's see, Lamech.
I got a Lamed. Yep.
Get.
Yep. And a final Mem.
Mem.
All right. So if we're looking at the sod, we know that we are looking at an object. The object is what? The water. The water is modified by het, which is life, even true life, water, life, and to teach and to learn. So the teaching and the learning of life executed upon water is this word, lachem. Any idea what that could possibly mean?
Executed upon water would be in feelings or emotions or...
Actually, I believe they pronounce this one lechem. So lechem.
Lechem.
Lechem. A little bit misspelled on the English side of things, but that's okay because we didn't give you pronunciation guides. Lechem. Well, nowadays they say that this is Bethlehem. Bethlehem is the place where we have water that is instructed in the ways of life. Or Bethlehem is the house of bread. Lechem is bread. Lechem. Isn't that weird?
Because there's no bet.
Huh? Oh, you're right. Bethlehem. Bethlehem. That's what they're saying Bethlehem is now. Remember, we call it Bethlehem, they call it Bethlehem.
I'm like, I don't see a bet in there.
No, because that word's not there.
Right.
I'm talking about the town now. The word is
right. It threw me off. I get it now, but it threw me for a second.
Right. There's it's house of bread. But once upon a time, it was Betlam when it was under the Turks because it was the house of meat. And then before that, it was Betlama because it was the house of the first man, apparently. But it was Chaldean back then. It was 3000 BC. But the story remained. They changed the names. They changed the language even. Well, not all the way. The word for house remained the same. Go figure. So we have lachem. That's bread. So let's see here. We were talking about leaven and making bread. We had another word here. What's the next word up? Oh yes, just showing you we do fun things by flipping letters around. We have melech. Melech is great. This has all the exact same all the exact same basic characters, and the basic characters have the same meanings. Now it's got a different order.
Right.
Okay, great. So we've got life being the thing that's being modified now, because the het is the life. That's at the end. There you go. All the way on the right. Life is the het, is being modified by this process of teaching, learning about mem. What in the world is going on with mem? Well, we know mem is supposed to be water, but mem is also a nun with a vav attached, or a nun with a zayin attached, which is probably a better way of thinking of it, right? The way it looks,
Right.
it kind of looks like the water jug with the spigot on the top of it, and the water is pouring out.
Yeah.
So if we have life that is being educated regarding the outpouring of water, the life is being altered. But in what way? Malek is the word for salt.
Ah, interesting. So with flavor?
So if we have
With spirit, really, because salt would be the spirit.
well, here's the fun thing about salt. Remember, we've got the saying, "You are salt and light."
Right.
What is kind of the essential nature of salt? Salt absorbs water.
Yeah. It
Salt,
transfers electrical signals as well.
whenever you want to draw water out of something, you pack salt around it, and the salt draws the water.
Absolutely.
So if you are salt, and of course, alchemically speaking, that's the body for the alchemists. But
Right.
if you are salt, your essential nature is to crave the water, to draw it even. So your very existence, if there is water present, it will come to you by your very nature, if you are salt. The reason this is relative to light, you'll understand as soon as we look at the word for light. Is that one up? No, we don't have. Yeah, we do. Okay. Or, there it is. That's the word for light. It's right there. There's a couple of different ways you could have spelled or. You could have just spelled it Aleph Resh, because the only thing that Vav there with the Olam above it is to tell us that you're supposed to pronounce it or, and not R, and not air.
Okay.
Right? You don't want to be an heir.
Well,
Yeah. To be an heir is a bad thing. You might die early if you're an heir. That's in the book. English again. I don't know why. All right. Or is light. But why is or light? What makes or light? Well, conjugating from the basic formation of the word again, we have a resh at the end. Resh is rushing along heedless with no firm foundation. If resh has a little support from behind, he can be dalit, he can just be poor and not wretched, thank goodness for him. But right now, his support is not connected to him. It's behind him,
right.
modifying him. And it's modifying him as the Vav, which is the connection to a higher dimension, and Aleph, which is the division between this and that. So I suppose we have the dimensional connection to the knowledge of this from that goes back to the beginning, that's behind the reckless light that's rushing headlong into where? Well, he's going into the void. We already figured out what this word is. It's the first one we formed once we got all these words together. Bir, bur, bar, bur, bit, or, the house of light, the light locker, if you will, for somebody who's seen one, right? You've seen a bor, the place where light goes and goes, whoop, where'd the light go? It went there. Why does it have to? Because it's its nature to rush headlong into the void.
Right.
It has to. Because the way was made in such a way that the light had to follow. If you understand Tao, if you understand the way, then you understand how flow works. You open the path and the flow happens. And it goes from higher to lower, from the place of abundance to the place of lacking. People who are trying to manifest say, I want this, I want this, I want. I lack, I lack, I lack, I lack. Well, if you lack, there's no flow. Unless, of course, you're in alignment with the place where there is flow. But then you have to be in alignment with the place where there is flow. You can't be lacking and not be connected. You have to be in alignment. The pipeline has to be connected. But once it is, the essential nature of salt draws the water. The essential nature of the pit draws the light. You are both salt and light. You notice what we did there? You're both.
Yeah.
Both. The one that draws the water, which we're going to be using actually as a good substitute for light in practice in the series of unconventional beliefs. Very, very good. It's like it's an advanced Qigong technique, and you get to learn it right off the bat. Go figure. It's actually the better way to teach it, come to think of it. But you're the light too, because it is in your nature to rush off headlong, to go find out, right? I need to know. I want to know something. I gotta know. I have to have the answer to this question that burns in my soul. What in the world is it? I have to know. And you have a line that showed up in the Gospel of Thomas, where Jesus is telling his disciples, he who seeks should not cease in seeking until he is found. Whenever he finds, he will be disturbed, astounded, amazed. Does this sound familiar? Yeah. And then after this, he will rule, and then he will find rest. Okay, he's going to be disturbed in his pattern of being whenever he actually gets to the point of finding out. He's messing around, he's going to find out. Whenever the seeker finds, something's going to change or alter in his state of being. What in the world is it that's going to change? Here's what's going to change. The resh is going to become, by virtue of that hand, the hand of God, reaching down, grabbing him by the head and pulling his head up, and pulling his path, which was without a base and heedless, to a base. The resh becomes lamet, by virtue of that yod that suddenly appeared upon it. If we go and look at another word that has the lamed, you can see it. I don't have that. There's salt. Here's salt, malek. Oh yes. Malek, also salt, the good earth, was the root for a king as well. Yeah.
I know that there's a name in the Bible that sounds an awful lot like Melech.
Well, and then you have Malachi, which is also related to that root. There are an awful lot of words that were based off of salt and relationship to salt. And I wonder why Melech and kingship, like physical kingship, are related. Could it be that the king is the one who gives the salt?
Oh, he's definitely the one that receives it.
Or he definitely receives it in tribute. But this is something to consider. All right. We had another set of words. Let me see what we got up next. Covered or. And of course, whenever we're at or, you notice there was the olam vav in the middle. It didn't need it. But the fact that it has it kind of tells you that it's a higher order of light than just regular light. All right, moving on. We got some weird. All right. You could have spelled it without the vav. It didn't need the connection to the higher dimension. But it's there to let you know that light is transcendent. Okay. Moving on. Next word, we're going to have to... Yeah, so, anyway. Next word we've got up here, we've got a yod, dalet, and an ayin. Yod, dalet, ayin. I don't have any idea.
I didn't know where to put the words to say what it was.
Right? I have no idea what that one is. Oh, I know what that one is.
Yada da.
Yeah. Okay, so it nowadays you hear the Jews nowadays Yiddish is yada yada, yada 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 yada. So we have a yod dalet ayin. Ayin is your eyes, right? In sod, my eyes I see. I see the doorway of knowledge coming from above and beyond. I know. Yada 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 yada. Okay, yada yada. Well, this other word down here, it seems to have some yada in it. What in the world is this one? Well, this one is dayat. And it has the tav at the end. We already knew about tav, right? Because tav was the character that kind of meant truth, as in like the final truth that's at the end of the alphabet, because you don't know until the end. And it's the word also meaning daughter, because the daughter is the proof of the house. Anyway, so we have the truth, the eyes, and the door that lifts up. And that is Deat.
And that's the bottom.
And of course, this is, because it ends in the truth, this is the door for the eyes that show us the truth, the real truth, the true truth. Deat will appear on our tree of life diagram when we get to it. The Deat is it would be the hidden, what we call the hidden treasure. That is the product that one accomplishes, what one receives, when one takes hukmah and processes hukmah through the entire process to coming out into understanding. Binah, married now in understanding, and becomes Deat. You get Deat as the product of the marriage. The marriage happens, then you get the product. If somebody has the hukmah, the thing that somebody says, here's some wisdom for you, and you go, well, thanks for the Deat. And now we're operating as if this is the wisdom. We haven't taken it. We haven't first checked to make sure that it's good, not poisonous. If it was bad for us, we would have sicked it up here. Now we check to see if it's true. If it's not true, we don't want to absorb it. If it's true, well, it has some truth and some lies. That's everything we encounter, really. Well, we can alchemize it. We can remove the stuff that's not right, and we can get the stuff that is. And then we can decide if we want to, add anything to the foundation. But at least we have something we can bring up and talk about.
Right.
Because we don't have anything to talk about until we've done this process of breaking it apart. It's a virgin idea. She has to become married and understanding before we have any real knowledge to talk about.
Right.
But of course, this is once again gate of humility. You have to go, I don't know, so I'm not going to say. I don't know. Well, if I don't know, I better not say. Or maybe I could say I know a little. I know enough to look for some guide stones to, get a little bit further down the road. But we have yada yada, and not Deat. We got a lot of yada yada, not a whole lot of Deat. All right, next word. Because we already had this concept of making a ya with the yod. We have yod lamed dalet, and then another word, Aleph lamed. What is that next?
Yada Elohim.
Oh yeah. That's the an a vav, because we don't have any punctuation marks, and I can't tell because it's not calligraphy. And then a hey. Another, yeah, and then the im, which is at the very end. All right, so we need to look at the suffix at the end of this word, the very top one, the very end where the mem is and the yod is. That's im. Earlier we had keref. All right, keref. If we wanted to make it plural, it would be kerefim. We would just add the yod and the mem at the end, all the way at the left, and it now becomes plural. Kind of like whenever you wanted to change the tense, you could add something at the beginning to change tense.
Right.
You can add something at the end, and now it's pluralized. That would be well, the word we were looking at was haref. We added this to the end of it, would be harefim. And then somebody would translate it as cherubim, and we'd all think chubby babies and not swords. This word is not. we have Yal Elohim. Yald Elohim. If you recognize El at the beginning of the second word here, the Aleph Lamed, and there's the Vav. We didn't add the Olam. It is an Olam Vav, but we didn't add the Olam because we're before the 6th century AD. And then you have the Ha for the Hey. That's a Hey. Like you couldn't tell that wasn't a Resh. No.
It's got the little guy underneath him.
So if you didn't know what you were looking at, you're like, I don't know. What is this? Especially if it was written on a spirit bowl in a spiral. You're like, are they summoning or are they banishing? What did they intend when they wrote this thing? I don't know. Maybe you have to like get enough of it and then hope you figured it out. But this is what makes scholarship a pain in the butt and why there's not many scholars and why people just have a tendency to just take people's word for it when they say, this means that. So Elohim Yald is a child, gender neutral. But Yalda, adding an ah at the end with a you would do it not with a hey, but with a vav. Yeah, you get vav. Yalda would be a feminine child. So if you saw the word Yalda Beel,
Right.
you already know it's the feminine child something, right? You kind of like get it. Oh, okay, there's something in there. All right. Yeah. So when we get to what the Gnostics were thinking, I don't want to say they're entirely wrong because they kind of hit on it a little bit, but only a little bit. Only they weren't like all wrong, but they're not all right either.
There was so many of them. Like,
right.
It's like saying,
there's a whole bunch of different. There was a whole bunch of different sects.
7,000 different types, and it was the same with the Gnostics over 1,000 years. So I mean, some of them were pre-Christian, some of them were post-Christian,
right?
And they were just pulling all kinds of stuff together.
Yeah. Well,
trying to find a truth or a way.
Well, let's go look and see what magic works for us and incorporate it into our system. Yeah. Which people did. I mean, they did that. Whenever they discovered the secret of Yahweh, they incorporated that. And then some people thought this has to be a name for God.
Right.
And so they started using it as a name for God.
It goes from A to the. And that's where the problem becomes. Like it goes from a system to the system.
Right.
It goes from a way to the way.
But if you understood what the magic of Yahweh is, then you would not think of this as a name for God. You would understand, oh, that's not. And if you thought it was a God, you'd know what God you were worshiping.
Right.
And it's not a good one. Short version, not a good one.
Well, I mean, you only have to read the text to find that out.
Okay. So actually, do we have all the characters? Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. We have enough characters. So we have Yod. We have Yod, which is the hand or the hand of God,
right.
Or a person, the helping hand sometimes, or this thing here might be another way of saying it. This thing over here, as opposed to that thing over there. It's right. Something.
This thing.
Hey, there is. Hand, there is. Vav, connected to the heavens. Hey, over there. Look, there's a hand connected to the heavens over there. Okay, it does mean something. It's not exactly on the level of being the creator of all, Aleph, El, which if you wanted to give it a more masculine pronunciation, you could pronounce it all instead of El.
Right.
But of course, if you're coming in from Iberia and it's about 1300 BC or so, and you're landing fairly close to Edom, somewhere in between the Egyptians and the Levant, like right there, disrupting trade, really, being a pain. Well, I mean, not at first. At first, you're here to trade, but then you establish the camp and you stay around for a while. And you borrow some of the local customs, marry a couple of the local girls, pick up some of the local traits and habits, a name for God, for example. But you want to incorporate it into your own mythology. You're using an alphabet that uses a bull head for Aleph. So, I mean, obviously El is the bull. But, your idea of God means you need to have a male and female God. So you're making your bull statues and worshiping your male God, but you need the female. So you create the female in your mythology. The female, because the male bull, LV in your language, needs a female counterpart. So you make the female counterpart, and you're going to call it La, because that's Aleph Lamed, as opposed to Lamed Aleph. And so it's exactly the opposite. It's the equal opposite counterpart. And now, between the two L's that you've brought together, something magical happens. Because in your language, when you combine two L's, you produce a new sound, and it's a vowel sound. The vowel sound you produced is yeah. You're a Philistine. You're a Philistine. And the God you're worshiping is the I am principle that says, I am this, I am that. I can, by using the naming magic that was given, the power of creation given to man at the very beginning, use this principle to alter my circumstance. And you're worshiping the genie in the bottle. Or if you're Crowley, you're worshiping the bottle.
Yeah, well, Crowley was definitely worshiping the bottle.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't even stick to a single God, much less one.
You're like, it's bad enough you got the wrong God.
Yeah. Like, you just went with whatever one happened to be convenient to the location.
And of course, you should know it was a problem in the first place because you said, I have a God. Here is my God. Here is a name for God.
Yeah.
How did you come up with a name for God? When did God give you the permission to name him?
Right.
It was not there. I've read the text. It's not there.
It's not there.
Never given the man to name God.
No. Like, I look at it like the I am concept, like even in Genesis, which has its problems, but like God,
because it was used as a placeholder for a name for God. There was not supposed to be a name for God. We were supposed to understand that foundationally from the beginning.
Right.
Every time we go and we try to get a name for God, go, oh, look, I've got a name of power that I can use. Now we've created a separation between ourselves and the rest of humanity because we have a God that's different from the God you have. We have a division. Oh, incidentally, whenever you see text, then you have Yod on top of Yod, or a Yid on top of a Yid. This means that one person thinks that he's better than the other. That's the end. It's the end of a verse, the end of a stanza, the end of a paragraph.
Interesting.
That's not necessarily the reason why, but it's cool that that's also
the lining up of the this and the that.
Right. It's also kind of cool that that's what it stands for, even if that's not a really good sod for it. Not every sod is a good sod. If you watch some rabbis give sod, you're like, yeah, guy, you're really reaching a lot for that.
Right.
You're really having to reach. And you're having to reach because you're going back into a constructed language that came later and not the original language. If you were getting it from the meanings built into the original language, bravo, well done, good for you. And nice for you to notice that. But if you're not, if you're having to just really come up with a reason for why it's that way, we're going to put this over here on the sus pile. And perhaps we can come back and re-examine it later when we have better tools for dissecting and breaking it up. Maybe there's still some good ore in there, in that pit, in the borehole. More English. Why is it English? Why? I don't get it. Why is it English? Why are so many English words just built out of this construction language? How does this happen?
Because of the assimilation over time.
It's because the parent language was disseminated from the Alps.
Right.
That's where, and then it went down into the German lands, into Germany, and out into Norway, and out to the point where the same tree is the one that Odin is talking about. It's the same tree.
Right.
It is. He's talking about the same tree of knowledge. He's even talking about the same praxis when it comes down to it. When you look at the folk knot where it's tied, the three mountains tied together, this is the sea lands if we're going to use Sargon's story.
Right.
Encircle the sea lands, the land of mind, the land of emotions, the land of the heart, and also the land of the physical as well, the mind, the body, and the spirit. All three of the sea lands you need to encircle. You encircle them not once, not twice, but 3 times, because each one of those is reinforced, triple reinforced, because you have a foundation here on the horizontal plane for your watchwords that connect to those words that you have for the opening and closing of the gates here on the vertical. So you're not operating in a 2-dimensional magical system. You're operating in a higher dimensional magical system than anything that, well, anybody in the last couple thousand years has been using. If you start using it. You're wondering how I'm able to sing the song and the door opens. That's how. I did it yesterday. Or was the day before yesterday. And I was addressing the door by true name. And the door opens. And Mary's like, well, yeah, it was just unlatched. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I'm inhabiting this magical world where the thing that I'm saying and singing and doing just lines up to what's happening. And sure, it's just coincidence. That's all it is. It's just lots of synchronicities and coincidences. I am wishing for the thing to happen that's getting ready to happen because it's getting ready to happen.
Right.
I'm doing the rain dance like the bird is out there because it felt the change in pressure and knows this is getting ready to happen. So it's beginning to beat the ground to get the worms to come to the surface because the rain's coming. The bird's doing the rain dance because the rain is coming. It's not doing the rain dance to make it rain.
Right.
Until it is. Until it is.
That's
the other part. I was talking about Chinibyo yesterday. Not yesterday. The last time we were together. I was talking about Chinibyo and that shared common delusion where we are playing, but in all seriousness. And when you can do that, there's a point whenever it's no longer imagination anymore.
Right.
It's the real world because it's become real. You've made it real because you do actually have the power of creation. It's not something that you have to go and sacrifice for. Well, I guess, yes, it is. The sacrifice you have to make is diligent study.
It's full on internal.
Coming into alignment with the Father.
Yeah.
And the Father is the Father principle. And you know, now we can get into more about what we're looking for. All good. El Tov. El Tov is God who is good, but is God who is all good. Every possibility of good is there. We can't shape it into a form of a man because it is all goodness. It doesn't fit in man.
Right.
Because it doesn't fit in man whenever we align ourselves with it. No, we don't become all goodness. But at least we can be kind. And that's how one aligns the flow from Gimel to receive the Dalet, the support, so you're not rushing headlong into a pit. And you can grow. And you grow because you grow in knowledge, in alignment with the Father that you're the child of. So that word, Yaled Elohim, is child of God, in the real sense of God. And Elohim is plural. Elohim is plural because God is not one thing. God is
all things.
All.
Everything.
All. And so it was the Elohim is plural. It is El Tov, it is El Bayat, it is El Elam, it is El Elyon. If you're, singing praises and you don't want to have your lyrics get messed up because, you switch the language and you switch the lyrics, the song doesn't make any sense anymore. So David is singing to El Elyon for a reason. It has to rhyme. The music has to work. The soul has to make sense. And when it stops making sense, you realize, wait a minute. David's God and this new one that's come in from Edom with the Herodians, it's a different God. It's a different idea of what God is supposed to be. And it's being worshipped in a different way.
Yeah. That's for sure.
And so you have essentially all the way through the Bible, you have this test or contest going on between two different priestly traditions. You have the order of Melchizedek, which is what Abraham gets exposed to very, very early on whenever he's being blessed of El Elyon. And he's told that his victory is because of El Shaddai. That's great. Okay, awesome. Now what happens? Well, now we have Jacob, Israel, the people who struggle against God. I mean, that's what the name means. I didn't make it up.
Right.
That's what it means. You're the people who struggle against God. Instantly, that's not just an ethnicity. That's a whole bunch of people all around the world are Israel. The people, Ish, Ra, that contend or struggle with or against El, the Lord who is God. Israel is the people who struggle or contend against God or with God. Probably shouldn't be struggling. You should probably be sitting and listening to your Father. Come into alignment. Build the foundation. Even, the foundation stone. Come into alignment. All right. So our word down here is a word that was used. It is used, it's translated as a sheep in English, but it doesn't mean sheep. It does, but it doesn't. I mean, if you wanted sheep, we haven't learned the word yet. It's shin and something to give you an egg. Yeah. There's pronounced sheep. There's a sheep. There's you could have little ones for sheep. This is not it. This is something else. It's, what is that?
I mean, there's an L in the middle.
Is tet lamed hey. So we have hey. What's a word for hey? What does that mean? Hey, to be disturbed. Behold, here is. That's weird for something being modified. Something being beheld. Okay. Let's behold something involving the teaching and the learning, and it's connected to Tet. Isn't Tet fundamental goodness? So we're going to be holding the teaching of fundamental goodness in this word. This word is Tela. It's the root word for Talitha, Tabitha, and it has been translated to be little lamb. Specifically, Tela is the rejected lamb. And this is something that I didn't encounter a lot when I was a kid because I was a goat herd and not a shepherd. So I got used to critters that were a little bit better at taking care of themselves. But if you're going to be taking care of livestock, sheep are actually really the best for a small animal. Up there in Avars, where there are no more Avars, but up there for Lord only knows how long, they raised sheep. The crest is a mountain goat on a white field over a black field with a diagonal dividing line. But the thing that they actually raise there isn't goats, it's sheep. And the process that they have, this is crazy. They're above the tree line. It's cold. I understand why my ancestor left. It was a free trip somewhere not cold. I probably they could have just said, hey, it's not cold, and he would hop on the boat. Because I looked, it's cold up there. There's no trees, so there's no trees to cut for fuel. How do they stay warm? Well, they gather the sheep dung. There's grass that grows seasonally for probably about 2 or 3 months out of the year, and then it's ice, and it's ice. There's a river of ice that runs across the Alps there. Like there's an ice river. It's crazy there. I don't know why anybody would want to live there. Maybe they're saying, hey, it's high up in there. The flood's probably not going to get me, and enemies are going to have a hard time coming after me.
People will have a hard time getting to me.
You really have a hard time getting to me up here. But eventually somebody said, you know what? It's cold. I'm leaving. And somebody else came along and started living there, and more fool them. So they take and they've been doing this continuously, because if you stop doing it, you wouldn't have the fuel. I'll explain. You collect the sheep dung and you let it dry, and then you grind it up, and then you pack it into a briquette, and then you take it under the eaves of the barn and you let it keep on drying for 2 years. Then it can be used as fuel in your furnace. So you actually have to have a continuity and a diligent practice to have the fuel made from the sheep dung to be able to live through the winter there.
Right.
Forget it. I hate the cold. I hate the cold, and I'm not the most diligent person. So I understand perfectly why my ancestor decided to get the heck out of there, even if it meant selling himself to King George to be a soldier.
Like, all right. I live in South Louisiana, so cold for me is like a once a decade event.
Right. Yeah. So Tela is the rejected lamb. This happens with sheep, not so much with goats. And it's a lamb that has maybe something that's not quite right with it. It can survive with the shepherd's help, but the mother rejects it.
Right.
And outwardly speaking, it could be a perfectly normal looking lamb. They're like, why the mother rejected? I don't know. And maybe it's something wrong with the mom too. But for whatever reason, the lamb is rejected. And so the shepherd will go and make sure that this little lamb that is rejected gets the nourishment and support that it requires to grow to adulthood. So the shepherd becomes the gimel and provides the nourishment, the dalet, to the tela, because the dalet's there too. It's there in the tongue, not in the spelling, but it's there anyway, kind of implied,
right,
in the root language. And yeah, the modern language isn't anything like it. They've been recreating it, trying to put it back together, but they're putting it back together with Arabic and Aramaic because those are the living languages that are currently being spoken. So kind of hard to do the original thing. And I have no idea if it was originally El or not, if that was the pronunciation for Aleph Lamed. It might have been Al. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might have been Al.
There's no telling because nobody was there.
Because, there's nobody alive now who was there.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about the Paleo Hebrew alphabet, which is a little bit different from the one we're playing with, is in Paleo Hebrew, the Aleph looked like an E. And the Lamed was turned so that the shepherd's hook was down there at the bottom. And kind of off to the side there. So it looked kind of like, it looked like L. Aleph Lamed was L. Or it would look like L on a more modern keyboard, which hadn't been invented yet. So I still don't get it. Why? Why does this happen? It shouldn't be like this. We shouldn't be able to sit down and talk about our sons, our bar, being rash and going off to the bear. No, going off to the bar to get beer from the bear that's at the bar, which is just, I don't know if you're bored yet, but then after that they're going to walk out and fall into a board. Right. Also, if they get too drunk from the well drinks, they're going to wind up being boars as well. So that's another. Oh, hi, Kitty. What are you doing? You want to jump up in my lap, but you don't want to be in my lap?
You're good for that.
So there we go. It's crazy. I guess we got through a whole hour. We managed to cover a few more letters and some more of the funny things. We aren't quite ready to get to the beast yet. 666. He who has wisdom, let him calculate the number of the beast. For the number is the name. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it today. You guys are patient. You waited.
Let's do it.
We're gonna go ahead and do it. This is the only time I'm gonna do gematria because gematria is just it's
severely flawed.
You will waste years of your life trying to come up with meanings for numbers. Go live a life.
Yeah.
And you will know through being. But just make sure you're in alignment. Once you're in alignment, go and be. And you don't have to worry if you are a little rash. You will discover God's there. And if it is your final discovery, God's still there. So, so either way, go forth in proper alignment and don't fear. Oh, crud. I just said fear not. I'm sorry. The number of the beast. In gematria, each one of the letters has a number. Aleph is 1. Yay. But it gets weird from there because it isn't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes
Right.
it is, and then sometimes they have more than one number. Oh boy.
Yeah, it gets really complicated.
Right, because Aleph has 2 yods and a vav in it. So now it isn't just 1 anymore. It's a whole bunch. Yeah, it's also like 26. It's like,
Yeah.
make up your mind. Which one is it? Which one do you want it to mean?
Yeah. If you're going to make a determining system, then at least settle on.
Okay, so we have 4 characters in Hebrew with numerical value that you could add together to get 666, and those are, let's see, Tav, Resh, Samek, which we haven't covered. Samek is like a circle, but it's got a little tab at the end there, so you know that it isn't just a circle. It's kind of like the tail of the snake hanging out of the basket that the snake is in, because it has an S sound, right? Sonic, and then Vav, which has a Vav sound, or a Wah sound if we're crossing the Alps the other way and it was not V anymore, it was a Wah. Remember, because we sent this down from the Alps one way and down from the Alps the other way. When people came to the school, they were climbing the mountain. I don't know. The mountain might have come down to you at one point. I think Muhammad had to go to the mountain. Anyway, or did the mountain come to Muhammad?
The mountain came to Muhammad.
Mountain went to the Muhammad. Okay, so somebody had to go teach Muhammad. All right. Anyway, somebody went from the school tried to help Muhammad out. I don't know how well he did. There are some things the stories make perfect sense and they sound like somebody gave him good instruction. And then there's some things that don't know.
Yeah,
that might have been Eve's fruit. Might have been. In any case, we have 4 characters with a number value attached to them. Samek is 60, Vav is 6, Resh is 200, and Tav is 400.
interesting. And see, I had done a word study on 666.
Now,
and
since this is BS and we're having fun with it, sorry, I'm cutting you off. Go ahead, do your thing.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I've done a word study on that, like when I was doing my Bible study,
Right.
and it's 660 and 6.
Right.
It's not 666. It's 3 separate characters. 3, like, they could have spelled 666 as one word, and they didn't.
But they
It
did.
was 600.
So you definitely have a Vav, and you definitely have a Sonic, and then you have whatever is 600.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you're doing Tav, Resh, Samek, Vav, then you have T, R, V, and S. All right, good. So I understand that that Taylor Swift is getting married.
Yeah.
She's getting married to a guy named Travis, and Travis has a fandom that we could call the Great Red Beast, and she is riding that Great Red Beast all the way to fame.
Yes, indeed.
So you see, we have
But it's not a
uncovered
Scarlet Woman.
the beast. Oh yeah, see, there we go, and we have uncovered the Beast of Revelation. Aren't you glad that you tuned in and you know the truth now? Yeah,
There you
geometry is cooked.
There you go.
It's cooked.
I'm telling you.
You can go searching for meanings until you go blue in the face, and you can go wandering around staring at the light until you go blind and fall into a pit.
Yeah.
And then you're in no good.
That's what I say all the time is you can make it do what you want.
Right.
If it doesn't, then you can change the variable. And I use Donald Trump because Trump is the Antichrist, right?
Right.
And so you can find that in there. And if it's not Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump.
Don't you know I'm supposed to
If
be?
it's not that, it's Donald J. Trump, or it's DJ Trump, or it's
The
DJ.
crowd goes, no, me, I'm the beast, I'm the beast. Yeah, somebody else goes, no, it's me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I bet you could probably take just about anybody's name or their birthday or something.
You
I
can
did it
make
with me.
work.
I was able to do it with me. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's funny. And then I was like, how do I want to think about this? So I was like, I suppose the way you want to think about this, if you have this epiphany, is every man has the potential to be a beast.
That is true.
Every man also has the potential to be a dutiful son of God.
That is true as well.
And the only difference is, what are you choosing?
The decisions you made, the discerning the this from the that, the separation of the this and the that is exactly the whole process.
Yep.
Like you did that.
And in the process, you find out, and as you find out, you suddenly stop being rash.
Right.
You become the one who
start
learns.
identifying what the rashness is.
And you also notice with the character Lamed at the base of it, it does have, like, okay, the Stockman's came, it doesn't have the base at the bottom. but Lamed does. So whenever Lamed comes and is pulled back by the hand of providence that's changed its orientation, it suddenly came to a stop. It came to a rest. So Jesus is talking in Thomas about seeking, finding, ruling over all. The King of Kings is the other meaning of Lamed, and finding rest. He's talking about light, resolving that process. Whenever you go out and you seek and you find, that connection back to the Aleph where everything is known is still there. Even whenever you're in the depths of the bore.
Right. You can still find your way back.
Yep.
You just have to start making right decisions. And you know what they are. That's the thing about it, is everybody knows.
Yeah, because if you actually look at your heart, emotively speaking, examine what is on your heart.
Right, don't open it
you will
up.
find the true law is written there. I don't think there's anybody in the world that doesn't have it. And I think even the psychopaths have it. They're just lying about it.
Yeah, I haven't dived too deep into their psychology.
But they've conditioned themselves to not feel, and then they lie about not having that there. Because they don't want to be murdered. They don't want to be robbed.
And it
they don't want to be slandered.
Like
they want people to keep their agreements with. All the things are still there for them too.
Yeah.
They're still there for them. They just pretend that they don't know that they're there for everyone else.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's all the words we had for today. Did I have one more? Spirit. That was the other one I was going to cover. Ruach. Ruach is spirit. We actually do have the letters to make it. There's a Aresh, Aresh, and a Het at the end, which is life, right? Yeah. There's light. Life, and a Vav, but without an Olam. So it's a Vav with the U, like the one time it ever makes an U sound, and Resh. So we have Het, which is life. The modifier is the connection to the higher dimension. I almost said the word. The connection to the higher dimension that is reckless, that moves where it lists, that goes where it will. What is that thing that moves as it will, that modifies the life? Is that Ruach? Is that spirit?
That absolutely works for me.
So maybe the word for spirit does have a sod that makes sense. So there we go.
Very interesting.
All right, that's it. That's all I got for today.
All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for being here. I sure appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and do the wrap up. That's going to bring us to the end of the episode. Hopefully, we brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion to a somewhat difficult series of topics. Y'all may know that I have some unconventional beliefs. Jason has slightly less unconventional beliefs, but we both have our beliefs visible to the public for a reason. It is because we are trying to discern between the this and the that. We are trying to learn where the true path lies. And while we may never find the true path, we are both walking upon a path. Neither one of us claims to be a master of anything. We are merely students, walking, brothers, in conjunction, working together to try to find a way. And the way that we have found, we are trying to show to others. So if you like what we're doing over here, let me know down below. Give me a like, a share, a follow, throw me a comment. Whether you agree or disagree with anything that was stated, put it in the box down below. And if it remains respectful, it gets to remain up. If you really like what I'm doing over here, hit me with that super thanks. Consider joining for a membership or picking up a copy of my book where I teach you to do magic responsibly. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete, just the way that you are. And this has been Pitt State. Peace.